What's up, PayProTec Nation? My name is Nate Manahan, and I am here in Indianapolis, Indiana, to bring you today's event, our training event, our live event. But I'm not just here by myself. I'm here joined by the person on the other side of the United States. Well, not quite the other side. Let's say, 6,000 feet high in the Glenwood Springs Canyon, Mr. Danny Shard. Danny, how are you, and how is life in the Rocky Mountains today?
Life is good. It's cold. Winter has already shown its ugly face. We got snow on Tuesday, actually Monday night, Tuesday morning. So I'm not done with my fall cleanup yet in my yard, and now I've got to fight the snow already. But that's life in Colorado, and it's been worse. I got over a sickness this week, probably the worst sickness that I've had in a long time. So be aware, it's out there. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So, but thankfully I'm back here with all of you fine people.
I am excited to have this topic, and I'm so glad you're feeling better. I talked to you yesterday. I was like, hey, are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to get this one on the books? He is coming limping in. He literally just walked into the office a couple hours ago, and now he's also, I want to give credit to where credit's due. He's also going from sickness directly to being Mr. Dad, and allowing is the wrong term, encouraging his wife to take a girl's weekend away. And you're being Mr. Dad right after coming after a sickness. You're doing it.
I'm batching it. I'm completely on my own, but luckily my kids are pretty awesome. So it's fun. I'm looking forward to this week, and thankfully I didn't get sick when my wife was already on her trip. That would have just been a nightmare. But
that would have been a worse. All right, so today we're going to be talking specifically about branding yourself. We'll use the words branding, white labeling, and I was going to start out just a little bit and give you my definition. There's lots of definitions of brand out there. I have trademarked my own version, so I get to put my own little piece out there. Let's see if I can get the screen up here, where I call it the brand equation, and the brand is really three parts. It is your story, who you are, what you do. There's training on our YouTube channel on this. Your marketing, and that's where like the logo and ads you may put out there and peripherals you put together and how you tell your story, and then your reputation. So it's not only the story and who you actually are, but how people are telling your story. Your reputation is what other people say about you. That together becomes your brand. And so today, as we put that together, we're kind of talking about branding yourself, but we're really specifically talking about kind of how you market yourself, the marketing aspect of that brand, and even more, making sure you're representing your brand. Because in our industry, Danny, I think what happens a lot of times is we have a lot of brand, what I call dissonance. And that means we present a bunch of names, a bunch of companies, and the merchant doesn't know who they're doing business with. And I think one of the reasons some of our big name businesses, the Toast, the Square, the Stripe, have been successful is they've gotten rid of that brand dissonance where there's so many different names and companies being thrown at the company. And they're like, well, I just do business with Toast. I do Stripe. Versus in our industry, you may see, occasionally see the card brands. That still happens on them. But you may see PayProTec, and then you see JFS Merchant Services. And it just causes that brand distance. You've been in this industry a long time. How much of a problem do you think that is? And what are some of the solutions you're seeing to be able to solve that dissonance that happens?
Yeah. Think about this. I mean, you've got, EPX, PayProTec, Payments Hub, which is their back office for the merchants and for our partners. You've got Pay Anywhere. You've got all the different, solutions that we provide. As a merchant and a business owner, your head's kind of spinning, right? And it's like, well, am I doing business with PayProTec, Payments Hub? Nick came in here as Core. I mean, who am I actually working with? So it's something that I'm really seeing a lot of popularity with this branding is just kind of trying to kind of reel that in and get it under one umbrella, if you will, which is really hard in our industry because there is so many moving brands, moving parts, moving pieces. But I think that's one of the things that our branding kind of gives a lot of flexibility to and allows you to do is first make it your own, but also just kind of clear up some of that confusion and just kind of put it all under one as opposed to having so much separation and having to explain it.
Yeah. Well, and there's really two types of we'll call them labeling that comes in the branding sphere. You have the gray labeling where you try to create a neutral mark, a neutral logo, a neutral name, like Payments Hub, where we can all use the same services. Then once you get into a username and you've identified yourself, you see the PayProTec logo, the Core Payments logo, the other logos you may see. And it's important to see that I think we've come a long way in the last several years of being able to support our partners so they don't see our logo and they see even less and less of the gray logo, but when they see a logo that's not theirs, it's Payments Hub. And that's really the only one we lessen. We're never going to get rid of everything. They're still going to see some of those things, but they're able to identify that. Let's talk about what are some of the things that are gray labeled and white labeled that are possible with PayProTec.
Yes, I mean, applications, back office portals for our partners, communication to merchants, I think is huge, right? That's the information whenever they have, if they've got a risk issue, if they've got a tracking number, if they've got any communication going out to them from our system, can have your labeling on it. The online application I think is huge. There's actually talks about Payments Hub being, it is branded on the partner side, about branding it on the merchant side. Now, granted, it'd still be Payments Hub, like Nate just said, for the masses and for the login capabilities. That's kind of the central point. But the capabilities of branding, and so we're on almost everything that a merchant sees from start throughout the process of support and ongoing processing with us. To the very end, everything that they see is your brand when it comes to the merchant processing account. I think that's really cool. The way that it's been built is, like Nate was talking about, there has to be some generic brands in there to make it flow for everybody. But whenever we can really touch on almost every aspect that a merchant visually sees, I think that's what's important. And that's what you care about as you're looking to establish your brand, is what things are they going to see. And you're hoping that it's nearly everything, and that's what it is.
Well, and I think one of the things is this gives, and I'll throw out credit to Mr. Brian Linke. He always says, man, we're going to give you an opportunity to make a whole business and he names a small price and says, I don't know anyone else that does this, but we're able to literally give you the main business features where when a letter comes, it's got their logo. When it's the statement, it's got your logo. When they're logging in, it's got your logo in the upper left-hand corner. When you're getting an email, it comes from your email domain, and do not reply, of course, but we're able to put it all in there, and you're able to walk into a business and say, you're going to do business with me, and you don't have to stumble along. Oh, by the way, the email is going to come from that. The email's good. Can you tell us what some of our partners have done? I don't know even the number, dozens and dozens. I think we're probably pushing close to 100 offices that are fully branded with us. Can you tell us a little bit of what you've seen our partners doing when they're actually going not just from gray label to white label, and they're putting their brand, their foot forward instead of PayProTec's?
Yeah. We've got 87 branded partners now. So you were almost.
I should have asked that. Didn't even know that.
That's kind of creepy how close that number is. But yeah, we've, and it's kind of interesting, the different models that we see. I'll get the first one out of the way because it's my least favorite. And those partners who have branded strictly because of ego, right? They want to see their brand on everything, and that's okay. That's the beauty of this business and the capabilities of this program, is that, if you want to pay the money, or if you want to qualify by other means, you can do so regardless of what you're building, right? And so we have had a lot of folks, I shouldn't say a lot, at least a dozen, that have branded and done very little business, but the business that they do shows their brand on it. And it's important to them, and that's okay. Now, the more successful partners, I think, are two different models. And it's partners that currently offer a variety of solutions to businesses, and adding payment processing is another revenue stream, and it's another way to add adhesiveness to the relationship. We're talking web developers, printing companies, software developers. These are companies that the primary customer is business owners, right? And so just as a service provider, a solutions provider to businesses, adding payment processing is a no-brainer. Now, whenever you can do all of it under one umbrella, so regardless of which avenue of service that you've got going to that merchant, they see your brand. I think that's huge. That's important. That just solidifies it even more. Actually, just got off the phone with one of our reps who's doing just that, and I think it's a great model. It's one of the more successful models. Not saying that it's the highest yielding residual portfolios that we have, but as far as strength in the portfolio with the different relationships that they've got with these merchants, it's massive. And whenever they can just see your brand on everything, it increases the trust and adds to that level of comfort whenever they've done business with you in other forms and they can add payment processing. It's a no-brainer for the merchant too, because you've already built that trust. So that's one of the most popular. And the other is partners that are building a large team. In our business, it's an evolving door if you're in the sub rep game, right? So if you're building an office and you're hiring reps, you got to know it's a revolving door. Reps coming in, reps going out, and whether because they couldn't cut it or they figured it out and they think that they can go make more money without you. And a lot of times the reason that is because they see PayProTec, they see North, they see Payrock, they see whoever, right? They see what's behind your office. And anybody that kind of starts to learn the business is going to say, well, what do I need them for at a certain point? I'm going to go directly to PayProTec. Whenever we can eliminate that, whenever you can take our brand away, put your brand in place of it, everything that your rep sees from their back office portal, and like we were just talking about, all of the things that they use to sign new merchants up, marketing material that we can help you customize, everything they see is in your brand. You're positioning your company as the end of the road. You are the ISO. You are the PayProTec. And I think that's really helped a lot of our more successful offices that are building with teams of reps kind of minimize that revolving door. They don't have nearly as much going out the back end as they did before because they're able to present themselves as the end of the road. And granted, most of these offices have really competitive comp structures and all of that because of the deal counts they're doing. And so it's nothing about pulling the shade over a rep's eyes about not being the ISO, because you are the ISO, right? And if you're able to kind of cut that out of it, you're going to keep those partners for a lot longer and hopefully build a stronger portfolio.
I like it. I used this quote in a training a while back, and I'll throw it up there. But when others talk about you the same way you talk about yourself, now that's a damn good brand. And what you really are trying to do is that when your merchants are happy with you and are telling others about you, you don't want them mentioning PayProTec or North or Merchant Links. I'm going to throw our brand or Payrock or whoever else. Our brand is equal to those two. You want them mentioning your brand, who you are. You want to explain, and you're leaving sales on the table when you're not putting your foot forward and allowing others to represent you. Now, there are some that may hide behind it and say, man, I don't want to do the support side. I call those travelers by. They're not looking to become true paymentpreneurs and actually build the business. But I think more and more we're seeing offices who are they're building that whole, they're telling the why of why they're doing and putting everything together. They're building out their own marketing, their own tools, their own services. They're building teams, and then they're allowing others to become the reputation that makes a very, very strong brand. Danny, right now, what would you say are our partners that are taking this next step? What are some of the things that they struggles the wrong, or I don't know, but what are some of the hindering blocks that keeps them from taking that next step and going and doing the white labeling and branding with us?
I think it's having everything established on their end and really kind of preparing, your approach to the brand that you're setting up with us, right? I think one of the common misconceptions is that, I'm going to brand and that's exactly what I need to blow my portfolio up. Right. And it's just not the case. I think it's more about how you're marketing yourself, how you're really positioning your brand, whether it's with specific verticals, specific solutions, what type of referral partners you're building up, and really, like Nate just said, that the name that you're building, right? And if you can kind of start to create a lot of positivity around that name, then it's going to really start to ring with a lot of your current customers and potential customers. The word of mouth spreads, right? So I think one of the things that folks struggle with is what does that look like? What is that taking that next step? Whether it's spending the money or working with us through different avenues to get yourself branded. Uh, what does it look like after that? And how can you maximize your success? And if you don't have a game plan for that, there's no point to brand.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's important. And if everybody's, as you're looking to consider this, you got to have a model that you've bought into and that you're going to have success with. And that's where your branding, you're really going to see the benefit from that, not day one, but day 100, day 365 and beyond, because what you're growing and what your model is stood up on your brand.
Yep.
But if you don't have that plan, you're kind of just shooting in the dark.
Yeah. And we don't want to just waste your time, your money, your energy. And a lot of that's why we come alongside of you. I mean, there are multiple of the offices that we sit down and help them figure out how to we help them put their logos, their websites, they're giving strategies together to go get their Google business profile. And that's even more of what we want to do is you're coming and making that decision to invest in yourself. We want to make the decision to invest in you. So the next question, Danny, is what does it take to take that next step in your paymentpreneur journey and do like, let's see, I'm going to add it up here because I saw Keith put it up there. I want to do his early one that he had put 3 tweets. I had to choose the right one. We'll be launching my white label within 2 weeks. So for Keith and others, what does it take to white label with PayProTec?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. We actually register your DBA and piggyback it onto our ISO registrations through all of our sponsor banks and at the card brand level, as well as the state level for where we're based. And obviously you've already got the DBA established where you are. So it's a full process. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. So Keith, if you're looking to launch in 2 weeks, that's awesome. We've got to get this thing rolling. But I think the process is starting to actually get a little bit quicker too. I had one last week that just took over 4 weeks. So I've been seeing 5 to 6 weeks, and now it's about 4 weeks. But we've got to get the DBA set up in your state. We've got to get a certificate of good standing. We got to get a price plan for how we're going to put together the branding, whether it's, deal count commitments, production quotas. We've done some really creative things outside of just paying money to get the branding done. And that's something that you're going to see more of as we go into this year, as we're encouraging partners to really stand out. Right. And I think it's important for everybody to kind of establish themselves as they're looking to build portfolios if it fits within their model. I'll be frank with you as well, of a reason why I see benefits not to brand, right? Not that that's what this conversation's about, but I feel it's important to talk about, is one of our best partner offices is they have brokers in their name. So we are their primary partner. We get 99% of the business, but they position themselves as brokers because that's the way they choose to sell, in a way of saying, we're going to get you the best solution with the best processor. And so that's really kind of how they've always sold, and it works for them. They're probably going to end up branding here shortly, but they really didn't feel that brokers, went alongside with their model. And I understood that. Now their portfolios, close to 1,000 merchants. And I think it just makes sense as they grow that you can still position yourself as brokers and still be branded. So think about your model, think about your brand. We got to get all of that established, and then we can start the process, and hopefully it'll go pretty quick from there.
Like it. I'm going to answer any questions that will come on some of the answers. Keith, I threw this up earlier. As a white labeler, you issued a white website. You should bring your own website. We want you to own that domain. We can certainly talk you through how to build a website and work with you. We've done that with lots of offices. We can't build 87 websites. You would not want us to do that because we're going to have to take away some of your bonuses and some of your residual in order to hire more staff. I'm just saying, but we can walk you through it, hold your hand, and make sure you build the best website you possibly can. And we're here to help. I do probably 6 to 8 hours of meetings a week just doing that and helping partners think through some of those solutions and options. Here to make sure that happens. Will we cover some technical aspects of how to apply some branding within the platform, Fireside Dental? I think that probably means branding on Payments Hub, Danny. Probably. I'm not sure exactly, Fireside, if you want to put more information on that or what. But I mean, the nice thing is when you log in, the only logo they see, once they get past the Payments Hub logo at the login screen, your logo. The other thing is I need to put pictures of these together because we have the screenshots of all that you always send out. I would love to show. I mean, what I love is it's their colors too. As soon as they log in, the green goes away or teal and whatever it is, their colors show up and the bar graphs show up in the colors, not in the PayProTec orange or any of that. It's I as much as I love our PPT orange and I'm wearing it right on my, right here. It's nice when you see your brand and your colors show up and all that work that goes into there. Danny, are you seeing any, when our partners are doing this, obviously we know that a lot of our partners are not exclusive to us. We want that we wake up every day trying to earn that. What would you say to the one who says, well, I could white label with you, but the other ones I use are not white labelable. How do they handle that? Or I only do 3 deals over there. So I'm going to have 3, there's something unique that's proprietary that they want to use. How do you walk them through when they're fully white labeled over here and they have another side of their business that's not?
Yeah, I think it just it makes it a little bit more challenging for them. They've got to know that the strength and the stronger merchants or portfolio in general is the one that their brand's behind, right? As opposed to they're having to explain how they're registered or they're a main DBA over here, but not at this other place, which we've actually seen partners that have branded with us and, just had to drop other partners because of theirs that didn't offer a white label because it just didn't make sense, right? It added a lot of confusion to their customer base. Now we get to that there's certain opportunities that we just can't do, whether it's type of business or the solution, if it's Fiserv exclusive or something like that, we're stuck. But if you can't get it branded and you're branded here, I think it definitely adds a challenge to the conversation with a merchant as you're just trying to solidify who you are and who the company is that's going to be handling their processing. Because then you're kind of having to add another layer to it. And we all know in sales, anytime you have to add anything, it doesn't make it easy. Fireside Dental, that's my friend John. Good to see you on here, John. I hope you guys are doing well. See, you changed the color out of the platform. Others should be thinking of the branding in the hub. So really the branding in the hub is just for your visual and for your reps visual. It's a way for anybody that's affiliated with you guys that you guys give access to, whether it's office admin access, light access, so they only see certain things. You guys have a lot of control over that. Whatever it is, they see your branding, right? And like Nate said, your color schemes, everything's kind of in yours. And as far as like other areas to think through the branding, nothing that you would really need to do on your end. It's more automatic on ours. The application documents, whether you're doing paper or the online apps. I guess one thing to think about is if you have specific systems or solutions that you guys are looking to provide, working with Nate, Josh, and their teams to maybe help you throw some branding on some marketing material that we've got. To really kind of help establish that. There's quite a few things that you can do to really prep yourself for the push once you've got your brand established and set up. And I'd love to talk to you guys more about it. So I know that's kind of open-ended, but there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of different things to talk about as you guys look to move forward. Can't hear you, Nate.
Cough button. This is my second time live today where I hit the cough button, forgot to turn it off. But certainly on some of these, we've helped partners, choose to go to a third-party gateway. Many of them allow a lot of white labeling. And so you can even say, hey, this is my gateway. There's all kinds of things you can add to your payments portfolio, but there is also value at sometimes when you're working with a third-party product, say, hey, you're working with XYZ Payments Company, and I have all these other products that I'm a reseller of. And sometimes it's nice to be able to say, well, that was XYZ POS. I'm not going to throw one under the bus and name it. That was them over there. Sometimes there is benefit to being able to say I'm a reseller versus I am the seller of these products. But we certainly are here to help you think through how to make sure that they see that they're a customer of you and that you're presenting the best options for them in our ecosystem. Jason asked this, Danny, is there a way to brand Payments Hub and the statements only and start maybe a brand ramp up program? I know the answer, but I'll let you go in there, Danny.
Is that Ric Flair?
I do. Yes, that is Ric.
Ric Flair. Jason,
what you put on your profile is what shows up on our screen.
I like it. I actually, woo! I actually really I don't dislike what you're saying here about a brand ramp up. Unfortunately, it's an all or nothing thing, right? So, I don't know that a brand ramp up would necessarily be healthy, right? Because as you're looking to establish your brand and only have it in Payments Hub and on statements, and obviously this is something that you're just throwing out as a suggestion, I think, to maybe minimize cost or make it a little bit more attractive to someone that's new that's just starting out to see if this is something that's going to work for them. I wouldn't see us necessarily having tiers for this for a couple of different reasons, but mainly because this is really meant for those that are ready to take it to the next level, right? We have a great brand here at PayProTec, and we've had a ton of success over a lot of years with partners representing themselves under our brand. And we love it, we encourage it. But if your goals are to take it to the next level, whether it's building a team, solidifying yourself locally, creating your own marketing plans that are surrounding your brand, you're looking to tell your own story, like Nate was talking about, and kind of touch on those three things. That's what we want to be here to help you do. Our goals at PayProTec in general, we don't have inside sales, right? Our entire goals are providing partners with the most tools and resources for you guys to be successful. Something like this is pretty unique, and it's really for those that are looking, that are probably already established in some form or fashion, whether they have the business and they're adding payment processing and they just need that consistency in their branding, or they've got that strong foundation built and they're looking to build a team and take it to the next level, and a brand's going to help them with the next phase and what this looks like. I think that's really what this is intended for. And so for those that kind of are looking for the entry level, let us help you get to that point to where you're ready to make the decision if you want to turn the gas on, and the branding can help you do it.
Yep. I think those are good answers, and a lot of that answer replies to those one. Rob, didn't put it. What volume of business should you be doing before you consider branding? And I don't know if it's a volume specific, but a commitment is what I would say, Danny. It's how committed are you to making this a long time career?
Right. I mean, that's a great way of putting it, Nate. I think those that are doing it part time, or those that are just signing up a handful of deals a year, don't let your ego get in the way of the reality is that this is a part-time gig that you're making really good revenue on, and no need to brand, right? But if you're looking to make a commitment to yourself or to PayProTec, and you're looking to either grow that team, have this deal count commitment, or the vertical specific thing is I want to touch on as well. Like, we've got a lot of partners that go after specific verticals and they've branded themselves as such, and I think that's huge, right? That just helps them kind of appear to be the experts, even though they are. I don't mean to say it like they're not, but having a brand behind what you're pushing and the types of merchants that you're going after, and they just go together, is huge. So if you've got plans, you got goals, you got things like that, that's when it's time to do it. There's typically a cost to it, but we've gotten really creative on different ways of how we've helped partners establish and get their branding done with us. If the cost is an issue, or if you're just getting started out and you really can't commit to deal counts or anything like that, I would say get your foundation laid first, get up to 5 to 10,000 in monthly residual revenue. Get 500 to a million in processing volume. Hopefully the majority of that is on our Edge program or dual pricing of some sort. So these are kind of things that can help you kind of establish a pretty strong foundation and get you to that turning point of seeing, well, is the branding really going to help me? And is this what I want to do? And you can kind of make that decision.
Yeah. And I think, Danny, one of the things is we're here to work with you and figure out what the right decision is. And people are surprised we say no sometimes. And you're not ready for this. And right. We don't make any money off you white labeling unless you submit business and processing merchants, and we're all growing volume and margin together. But when, we're not just out there, we want to throw your logo on our statements. It looks nice and we all like your logo, but that's not worth anything for both of us. We make money when we have processing merchants who are doing it to the right margin. So we're here to do that. If they want to take the next step, Danny, how do they get connected with you, with our team? Who should they talk to? If they're already a partner of PayProTec, who should they talk to? And if they are just wanting to start thinking about working with PayProTec and maybe white labeling because of the options we have and the flexibility and the team we have, what are those next steps for our partners?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're wanting to learn more, you want to kind of get the down and dirty of what you need to take the next steps, shoot me an email, Danny@PayProTec.com. If you work with Jason Lee, you work with Brian, you work with Pam, you work with Jen, you work with Mike, anybody on our team has the info to send you to establish your branding. If you're unsure about any of that, partners at PayProTec. When in doubt, partners at PayProTec. Heck, you could even send it to Nate, and Nate can get you branded. So start the process with any of us, or just initiate the conversation. And we'd love to talk to you about what your plans are, and really just kind of, it's not a qualification process. It's more just kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure you understand what this kind of looks like and that this is going to be the right move for you and what your goals are. Because we're here to support you, whatever they are.
Yep. We love it. And as we close out, our good friend Angela put a nice comment in there. We always like it when you say that this is fantastic. Thank you, Angela. Thanks for jumping on and staying even longer on the YouTube. If you're watching this live, obviously, thanks for being here. But a lot of you watch this afterwards. So just like Angela did, you can make comments and questions here on the YouTube, and we'll try to follow those. Or just as Danny said, all those emails, you can email me at Nate@PayProTec, Danny@PayProTec, partners at PayProTec. However you want to get to it, we're here. And it's .com. I didn't add the .com on there just to make sure. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. For those who are coming up, we won't be live with another live before Veterans Day is this coming Monday. One, it's a banking holiday. I'm sure we'll get emails. There are no deposits on Monday morning. Two, thank you to all of our veterans. Thank you to all those who have served our country. And as my friend Pat McAfee would say, this week, we're putting more emphasis on the United of the United States of America, and we thank you guys all. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everybody.
See you guys.
Yep.